As you all know, in the run-up to the last two presidential elections, the king of Twitter, the global king of Twitter, was one Donald J. Trump. And, observers of the process would wait for that first tweet of the day. It would often come at 5:30 in the morning and very often set the narrative, actually, for the whole of the day. But given the way that Twitter, Facebook and the others treated him in 2020, and in particular the Hunter Biden laptop and not giving something that was true currency, Trump set his own thing up with a group of businessmen called Truth Social. And he set it up in an unusual vehicle. Well, that vehicle has gone public today on Nasdaq. And I think Donald Trump is going to be celebrating tonight. In fact, the money he's made on paper today dwarfs the fine that he had to pay yesterday. Well, to explain all this, what it means, I'm very pleased to be joined by Jason Trennert, Chairman and CEO of Strategis, directly from New York. So, Nasdaq, what has happened on Nasdaq, Jason, and what is this vehicle that was set up to launch Truth Social?
Well, Donald Trump, as you know, as you pointed out, Nigel, was kicked off both Twitter and Facebook immediately following the 2020 election in January 2021. And he set up the Trump Media and Technology Group. There was a merger with Digital World, which is a SPAC, and it finally got regulatory approval a couple of weeks ago, which allowed it to start trading on the Nasdaq this morning. The stock now is currently worth $10 billion. President Trump's stake is worth about 60% of that, so about $6 billion. That makes his net worth about $9 billion. And to put it into perspective, the New York Times is worth about $7 billion. So conceivably, if he could use the stock as currency, President Trump could buy the New York Times, which would be quite an irony.
Well, that certainly would be, wouldn't it? I got the impression, Jason, and obviously I know that X is enormous, and so is Facebook and many of these giant companies, but I kind of had the impression that Truth Social hadn't really taken off. These stock market figures tell a different story.
Well, Nigel, you're quite right, though. I believe Truth Social only has about 5 million users currently, in comparison with Twitter, which obviously has hundreds of millions, if not billion, users. So there's a long way to go. The company is not yet profitable, but it just got this infusion of cash, just became public, and so it now has the wherewithal, the capital, to become a real threat to other social media companies, in my view. And so the trick will be turning it into a real business. But they've got a tremendous head start with this capital infusion that they have.
So with a valuation of $5.5 billion for Donald Trump today, at what point, if he chose to, could he start to realize some of those profits? Well,
on paper, he would need to wait 6 months to get approval he would need to wait 6 months. Otherwise, he would need to get a waiver from the board, which on his board includes his son. It includes a number of members of his former administration. So it's not inconceivable that he could get a waiver before 6 months. So we'll see. But it's kind of amusing because I would say the liberal media here in the U.S. last week was almost line dancing with the prospect of him having to give up one of his properties or not being able to make one of these ridiculous legal settlements. And now here he is. He's back on the billionaire on Bloomberg's billionaire 500 of the 500 wealthiest people in the United States, with Trump Truth Social going public this morning.
Extraordinary.